Good morning. Sharing with you a recent announcement by the SSA. It's about a general plan they have to improve the service that's going on for all sorts of claimants. That could be disability claimants, SSI claimants, um, retirement survivors, etc. I'm going to try to link this report that they put out to either down below or on a button. But just to let you know, the whole point of it is to improve customer service. And given the few changes they've made already, I wouldn't be surprised if they can meet this, this plan if they stick with it. Okay, so they give a bunch of charts about how agency funding relative to spending on benefits has changed, decreased. I think this is where they're making excuses for the customer service, which, money talks. If there isn't money there, customer service is going to go downhill. So I see no problem with pointing that out. Um, they give a chart about that reflects the fact they are serving more people with fewer staff. We've griped about the staff shortages for a couple of years now. They give some data on current average wait times. They say that it takes 36 minutes on average for someone to pick up a call to the 1-800 number. The 1-800 number is important for a plethora of reasons, particularly when you don't know what your field office number is or your field office is not picking up, and not to mention the field offices unpublished their phone numbers over the course of the last several months, which I thought was a really, really big mistake and extremely rude. Because most people aren't going to have it on the tip of their fingers. I would say I have most of them, certainly the ones that I've dealt with. But when you don't, one thing they did put up, which was different from before, was fax numbers. For me, that's hugely important because when I send something by fax, I have a copy and I have a confirmation that they received it. So that is not bad, the switch to the fax. But when they took away their own direct phone number and gave you the 800 number, the impact was obvious. I don't know how anyone with half a brain up there could have done that and not realize how bad that was going to be. Another number they give us is 229 days for an initial disability decision. That's not good. How much is that, guys, if we do the math? Oh boy, I'm a little slow here. Let's see. 229 divided by 30. Let's just say 30. All right, 7.6 months for an initial decision. Initial. Now, what's funny about that is, well, I'll get to it unless I misread it down below. So just keep that in mind, 7.6 months for an initial decision on average. Now we've seen 14 months. We've seen on rare occasion lately in the last year, have I seen it below 6 months. 225 days for a disability reconsideration decision. That means, guys, another 7 months on Recon, on top of the fact that you just went through 7 months on initial. Now, got to put a little point in here. Some people want to get rid of reconsideration. That was done, guys. It ended a couple years ago after 19 years, I think. No, could have been 10. I gotta go back to my video. I was one of the states that they got rid of it in, Pennsylvania. It was a beta with 10 states. And when they looked at all the numbers, it did not serve the claimants well. The added time was, in the scheme of things, negligible. The amount of people that had to go all the way to hearing was huge. So if you're really curious about that and you keep reading blather out there about getting rid of the reconsideration stage, I find it to be very stupid and unfounded, in my little nutshell way of saying it. Okay, and just read the report on the whys they got rid of reconsideration and just follow the narrative, guys, and you'll know why. Okay, the last number they give us here, 361 days for a hearing decision. Now that would presumably be after you've appealed for hearing. That's a year, right? So when you add that all together, we're back up to the old 2.5+ years for a claim, if you go to hearing, and ironically, we had that bad time period. We had that horrendous time period in the 20 teens. It wasn't until about 2019 when some smart activity above put in some more funding to help staff a few of the places that need to be staffed, including ALJs and decision writers. So then our hearing wait went from, well, hearing decision is another thing, but yeah, I'd say the hearing wait went down to 5 months and the decisions are usually out a couple months later. So it was a big difference. Say it was 7 months. That of course doesn't exist anymore. So then they go into how they're addressing these challenges, blah, 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 strategic goals, driving leading actions, blah, blah, blah. Don't really care, just want to know what you're going to do. Okay, so here's where they look at their key challenges. They say they want to have the 800 number performance that we mentioned above, where there's, I think I said a 36-minute wait. They want the calls answered within an average of 12 minutes by the end of 2025. So that's a year and a half from now. That's a good goal. You know, you have to train people and all that and after you hire them, finally. So I could see that could take a year and a half. Processing time for benefits. They want to process 83% of a portion of Social Security related claims within 2 weeks, within 2 weeks of filing for benefits. If it's filed too late for payment at the earliest point due, and otherwise at the earliest point due. So I guess the next due date. That's really good. I think 83% would be wonderful. I'm assuming the other 17% would be due to some sort of maybe irregularity that had to be checked out. But when I say a portion of the Social Security program claimants, that excludes disability. It includes retirement survivor and Medicare claims. And the reason why, obviously, it has to exclude disability, guys, is because disability has to have a medical workup. Everybody's got to prove they're disabled. It's a whole evidentiary thing that is unlike any other claim, which is just prove your birth certificate, prove when you were born, prove you're here legally, boom, you're in, collect your benefits. Disability processing time. This is kind of funny. Unless they're talking about initial and recon combined, it says process initial disability claims within approximately 7 months by the end of fiscal year 2025. Well, it's only about 7.6 months now. So what are you saying? You're going to improve it by 2 weeks? That's ridiculous. That I'm not really impressed with unless I'm misreading it. And it says initial disability claims. It doesn't say reconsideration. So if it was combined, which I think is impossible, so that would be an overreach. It would be impressive though. But for initial to go down to 7 months from 7.6 months, not an impressive goal, people, in my opinion. Disability appeals time. Conduct disability determination appeals, hearings, and issue decisions within an end of year monthly, September, average processing time of 277 days, 270 days in fiscal years 24 and 25. Disability determination appeals hearings and put out the decisions within an end of year average. Okay, so I'm an idiot. Don't mind me. I'm just going to use my handy dandy calculator again. So if we're doing 270, that's not too pretty. 22 months and a half, 22 months, 22 and a half months to do, I'm assuming from the time you appeal for ALJ hearing. That cannot be right. I must have pressed the wrong thing. Apologies. No, it does say that. That doesn't make sense. Oh gosh, I know why. All right. My math is not working well right now. 9 months. That's not too bad. You ask for the hearing. You need to have your 75 days. I don't really want that changed. I know some people might, before they can schedule you. That gives you time to order those last minute records that you might not otherwise have gotten, depending on when, particularly when a rep comes in at last minute. Like sometimes I won't even come in because there's going to be insufficient time and the person's going to have to fly solo. It's just the way it is. I'm not going to jump in if I can't do something to help you. Because if you win, I will be getting paid regardless. So 9 months, I think that would be good, because if it's from the time you appealed after your recon denial, and then you get your notice of hearing office has got to work up your file, and hopefully they'll start exhibiting them before they schedule a hearing. We've been getting files completely unexhibited the week before a hearing. Unacceptable. I think it's a violation of my client's due process, but that's a whole nother thing. So I think that would be 9 months. I know you guys want it shorter. You should watch the video on how you can use that 9 months to actually change the result of your case. Remember, you were denied twice. There's a reason for that. You weren't pulling your weight, regardless of what you think, under legal standards. So if you have 9 months instead of you want it tomorrow, you actually have a chance, if you get some good advice, to fix what wasn't done right. All right. And remember, it all starts with the claimants. It all starts with their treatment for all the impairments, big and small, as I always say. Anyway, I think those goals are pretty decent. Even the 9-month one, close enough, except for that one about disability processing time. That is horrific. It's not even an improvement, really. All right, that's it. There's a bunch of other stuff in here. You should take a look, see. I'll post it. Bye, guys.